Welcome. In this session, we'll talk about all Governor Generals and Viceroys of India. Now, note, before the Government of India Act 1858, they were called as Governor Generals, and after that, the title was given as Viceroys. So, we'll talk about the major Governor Generals and Viceroys as well in this lecture. To begin with, Warren Hastings, when the Regulating Act 1773 was brought, and this was the first parliamentary intervention where there was a system of centralizing and supervising the East India Company rule in India, and that was brought through the Regulating Act. And Warren Hastings was the first Governor General of Bengal who brought in the foundation of British administration through the Regulating Act in India. It was also the time where the first Rohilla Wars were held, and these Rohilla Wars were where the British troops assisted the Nawab of Awadh against the Rohillas, and that was to consolidate the influence of Britishers in North India. The next important thing that we would talk about was the role of Cornwallis, and Cornwallis actually brought what was called as the Cornwallis Code. It was a body where legislature separated the revenue collection from the judicial administration. So legislative and judicial were separated at this point, and it was again known for Cornwallis was again known for his concept of permanent settlement. So permanent settlement was the idea which was introduced in Bengal as fixed taxes for zamindars which would be laid down. The next was Wellesley. Now Lord Wellesley was known for his idea of subsidiary alliance, and subsidiary alliance was basically a system where Indian rulers surrender the sovereignty in exchange for the military protection that they would get from the British rule. Okay, again this was the time where Fourth Anglo-Mysore Wars took place. The Fourth Anglo-Mysore War, which led to the defeat of Tipu Sultan, was again important. The next important in the line of Governor Generals was Lord Dalhousie. Now Lord Dalhousie's work have been important because he gave the what is famously called as the Doctrine of Lapse. Now Dalhousie was the one who expanded the British Empire and focused on not just the North India but securing the dominance even in Southern India. And then he brought the Doctrine of Lapse. The Doctrine of Lapse was that that was a policy where Britishers had the power to annex any princely state if the ruler died without a natural biological heir. So Jhansi was one of the areas which was a part of it, and therefore it was brought into account. Now Dalhousie was also known for bringing in the critical infrastructural projects, the railways, the telegraphs, and then the concept of annexation of Awadh, which also took place during this time. Then was the transitional period, the Government of India Act 1858, which led to the transition from Governor Generals to the Viceroys, and moving from East India Company to British Crown was the basic idea. And this was the time where Queen Victoria, who proclaimed herself as the Empress of India, was the symbolic head of new British Crown in India. Okay, now once the Government of India Act 1858 was brought into account, viceroys came into existence, right? So one important one was Lord Canning. He was considered as the last Governor General and the first viceroy to take transition from East India Company to the British rule in India. And this was the point where the various policies were brought about. The next was Lytton. Now Lytton was a viceroy who designed what was called as the repressive policies, and these repressive policies included the famously known as Vernacular Press Act. Now Vernacular Press Act was a law to silence the local newspapers in India so that they could not be against the British rule or against the British ideologies, right? So to brought in a strong control on the news or the press was the basic idea under the Vernacular Press Act. The next important act at this time was the Arms Act. The Arms Act was again a discriminatory policy where Indians were prohibited from carrying arms without license while Europeans were exempted for the same. So again a very repressive policy. So Lord Lytton is known for his extreme repressive sides, right? The next was Curzon, who has been cursed with the idea of partition of Bengal, right? Now, Curzon was a powerful administrator, but was also a very, very controversial figure at that time. There were nationwide protests about his policies, and Swadeshi movement was one such movement where boycotting the British goods were brought into account. The next important act was the Rowlatt Act. Now, Rowlatt Act talked about allowing the government to imprison political suspects without any kind of trials that could be made against them, or without any legal bindings, and this was one of the reasons that led to outrage, and this was the basis for what was so-called the Jallianwala Bagh tragedy, right? So the Jallianwala Bagh massacre took place in 1999, again very, very important, where Lord Dyer fired, and then came the role of Chelmsford during this time, and finally the Rowlatt Act was brought. The Rowlatt Act was one of the this act, as we explained, was also considered as one of the black acts of India, right? The next and the last one was the final partition of India, 1947, where Lord Mountbatten gave what was called as the Mountbatten Plan. He was the first viceroy sent to oversee the transformation of power in India and creation of two independent dominion states, that is India and Pakistan, and this led to final partition, massive displacement, and finally the separation of the two nations. So those are some of the important timelines that you must be aware about. We will be covering more important topics in history, of course, so stay tuned for more information. Thanks for joining.